Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome back to today's episode of The Boardroom. Great to have you here with us. We are, of course, live on Facebook at the moment, and we look forward to receiving any comments or any questions that you may have for today's interviewees. As always, if you don't manage to catch us live, that's not a problem. You can watch this back. It will be streamable on who'swho.mt, which is Malta's leading business portal. Thank you to everyone who has written in, who has passed on comments to us about how much you're enjoying the boardroom conversations. We really do appreciate it. We love to get your feedback. If you have any ideas for shows that you'd like us to do in the future, please do let us know. We're very keen to take on your feedback and, of course, to have the conversations that will be beneficial to you. Now, today's conversation is about an extremely important part of our economy. I know I say that a lot, but this really is a critical part of our economy in Malta. And that, of course, is the SME sector, small, medium enterprises. There are over 100,000 small, medium enterprises in Malta, and they make up a whopping 99% of all the businesses on the island. And to talk to us about this today, I'm very pleased to welcome Abigail Mamo. She is the CEO of the Malta Chamber of SMEs. Martin Debono, he is Business Development Director at CD Power Solutions Co. Ltd, and Rita Vella, owner of Diveshack Malta. Thank you all so much for being with me on the boardroom today. Great to see you. So Abigail, I'm going to come to you first, just for a little bit of insight into what an SME is and why is it so important?
The phrase or acronym SME is used very frequently, and you will understand why. SMEs are our bread and butter. Those are the businesses that we represent, but it's also the economy's bread and butter. SMEs make up 99.8% of all businesses operating in Malta. And it might sound like a mouthful saying SME. In reality, what it means is different sizes of businesses. So there is the micro, which is the smallest source of nucleus of businesses, which is less than 10 employees, and that makes up a whopping 93% of all businesses. So sometimes we refer to small businesses as being a few, but in reality, it is the absolute majority of businesses in Malta. And then we have the small businesses, which is less than 50 employees, and we have the medium businesses, which is less than 250 employees. So they are very varied because it makes a whole difference if you just employ 5 people or if you employ 200 people. But yes, in all, we are talking about all the businesses in Malta, basically.
Wow, that really is incredible to think. I mean, we know when it brings to mind business, you think of sort of large organizations, but some of even the larger organizations in our mind and perception in Malta are actually still within the SME category, which I think must be quite surprising. So thank you for that insight, Abigail, and we'll come back to you in a minute just for some more data about SMEs and obviously the struggle that there has been throughout COVID for so many of these SMEs. But Rita, I just wanted to come to you. Obviously, you are from Diveshack, so you run a dive school in Malta. So you are an example of an SME on the island. Could you tell us just a little bit about what it is that you do and your role within the economy as an SME?
Well, I was retired until my business was going to be sold, and then it got cancelled on the 29th of February because of the situation and the stock markets. So I had to sort of come out of retirement and start working again. The diving business is a very important sector in Malta because a lot of people around the world come to visit Malta specifically for diving. And so it contributes a lot to the Maltese economy. There are about 8% of the total number of tourists that come specifically for scuba diving, not to mention the ones that are already here, never thought about it, but then decide to do a try dive and then continue. So I believe that the diving industry plays a very important role. And keep in mind also that most of the time, for 100 euros that they spend on diving, they would be spending at least 4 times more on accommodation, food, and everything else. So we only get a small part of it, but we are contributing very well to the economy.
Thank you, Rita. And Martin, I'll come to you again. Another SME, you're operational in the energy space. If you could give us just a little bit of insight into what you do and also how things have changed, if at all, because of COVID.
Okay, thanks for the invitation, first of all. Okay, what we do right now is we do renewable energy systems, solar water heaters, air conditioners, energy saving systems. It's most of it has got to do with anything with energy. However, our primary focus right now is on renewable energy because for two main reasons. That saving energy, doing systems for saving energy, the government lowered the electricity rates a few years ago, and the numbers did not make sense for people to save energy on what I was offering then. However, on the renewables, makes a lot of sense because one can actually generate a lot of electricity for their own use, and based on that, save a lot of money in more than one way in terms of stuff on the electricity on the grid, the government reaching the targets for the EU, saving actually on your electricity bills, putting shading on your roof. There's a whole multitude of things. So in brief, this is what we do as an organization. We're a small organization, we're 7 people. However, when you consider all the subcontractors and all, we're close to about 25. Because since being an SME, you cannot always employ all the skills you can. So you have to, like accountants, marketing, deliveries, some installers. We're in that area. Okay, did COVID affect us? I would say what really affected us was. I can talk if you like. I can talk for a long time, but I try to be as concise as possible. What affected us primarily from last year and this year was the economic climate and the big problem that the government changed yet again the Minister of Energy. And because of that, there were a number of things that had to be in place, like certain government grants for the domestic, the feed-in tariff for small to medium systems, and all these took really long to kickstart when there was a reshuffle of the ministers. We're already suffering in that area. Then all of a sudden, COVID came, and anybody who was partially interested, waiting for the government incentives to come out and so on, that vanished completely. So yes, we did struggle with, in the first 2 months until the government opened the grants, the feed-in tariffs and whatnot again, and we recuperated very, very fast. It was a crazy 2 months of doing nothing, then it was a crazy 2 months of catching up for 6 months prior to that of doing nothing. So it was a bit challenging. Okay, I'll stop there.
I see. Thank you, Martin. I think what I'd love to know now, Abigail, is if you could tell us sort of the effects that, as a whole, your members faced. Obviously, it's fascinating to me to understand that your members are everybody from a one-man band who is operating a micro enterprise all the way up to a couple of hundred employees. So how were you able to sort of encompass all the support, all the advice that was needed?
As you are rightly saying, the effect of COVID, and like anything else, it hits people differently. So it hits businesses differently as well. There might be differences related to the size of businesses, because smaller businesses tend to make sure that they keep their employees more, because they are like families. If you are 5, if you are 10, it's like you're a family. But at the same time, they do not have that large number of assets and capital maybe that other larger businesses might have that they can fall onto. However, the biggest difference that we have seen is in the sectors. Obviously, we have had some businesses that actually did well, but these were few. Very, very few. You can count them just on the palm of one hand, and the number of sectors that did well during COVID, because obviously certain demand from certain products based on consumer consumption has increased. and the rest of the businesses did poorly overall. It also depends on the situation that the business was in. For instance, if you walked into COVID already thinking that you need to change your sector, you were saying that certain things were not working well and you wanted to change, COVID was close to deadly for you. Now, if you had done all that homework before COVID, you actually found space to complete what you wanted to do during COVID, and that found some businesses ready to what COVID necessitated. So yes, there were different necessities, but I would say the absolute majority of businesses were hit by COVID and they needed help. In fact, we have 2 sectors now with us that originally were not included in the government support measures, and it wasn't easy to have them included. There were a lot of discussions, a lot of coming and going, but at the end of the day, the government recognized that they also needed help, because we might not think that all businesses needed help, and that was the first impression that the government had, but they had to rethink this strategy because most of the businesses needed help, because COVID brought a devastating impact on businesses, and it also opens up some opportunities and also space for you to think, to look inside the business and see how it can be improved, how you can change certain things based on what will happen after COVID, so that we come out stronger.
Absolutely. And with that in mind, Rita, I'll come over to you. Now, I know that obviously you were perhaps not thinking about the energy that you were going to be putting into the business when COVID hit. You were perhaps thinking of moving into a different phase. But what has been your biggest learning experience from COVID?
I don't know. It was such a big impact on us, to have the business after investing during the winter months to prepare for summer, and then suddenly your doors are closed, people demanding their money back. It was very difficult. We as a small company, we respect our customers a lot, and we felt that it was very unfair that they would not be refunded just because the country or the airlines were not. So we actually refunded anybody who did not want to change the date to it. What I did during the COVID times was I focused more on the digital part of Diveshack, and went over the operations manual of the company, and used that time to improve in that way when everything was shut down. That is how I.
Perfect. Yes, we've had a lot of
changing, the accounting system, which was an old system and needed time. So that provided the perfect opportunity to do so.
Exactly. Thank you, Rita. We've had a lot of sort of business leaders coming on the show, sort of talking to us about COVID being a good pause. And now we hope that that pause is over, at least for the foreseeable, and we've shifted into a different mindset. Now, Martin, you were sort of saying that luckily, perhaps you weren't as impacted by COVID as you were by other things, but nevertheless, sort of as a small business owner, why is it important to have a mindset around having time to look at your business and how you can do things differently? You are on mute.
Yeah, okay.
There we go. Thank you, Martin.
Okay. Okay, look, for us, yes, I just want to add what Rita and Abigail said, because the reality was that we're also part of another company that I own, which is Photo Chancho, and we do pictures, printing, photo books, and all this stuff. That company was very heavily affected because nobody could come to our shop. We had to close the showroom and so on and so forth. And in all fairness, they did get Chancho did get funding from the government for lack of business and so on and so forth. During that period, we struggled a lot, and Abigail really helped us over there to try and convince the government that companies like us did get affected one way or other. because, like I said, we had 2 months of absolutely nothing happening. In that time, the government thought, or it put us in a box of, we are part of the construction industry. Allora, you're not going to get any funding because the construction industry is still going. But 90% of our clients are domestic clients. So, and every time we found out people, yes, I'm interested. I can't do the PVs because I lost my job. We had many of those, unfortunately, and that obviously affects us. And we had other people saying, listen, they were, scared. We don't want anybody in the house. And then we'll talk to you in June, July, and we'll see what happens there. So it is happening. However, in that period, we quickly reorganized ourselves. I had, a lot of my guys, my technicians, primarily had a lot of leave. So I said, listen, let's take the leave of the previous years that we haven't been taken for the time being, reorganize our stores completely, reorganize all our, the basement areas with all the, old equipment and that, so we know exactly where everything is. Basically, we did a lot of housekeeping. We picked up very quickly on technology, and towards the end of April and May, we started selling again because we changed our processes to do site surveys with clients. However, it was only helpful where people were savvy in IT. Okay, for example, we have to do a roof survey, take pictures of the front, of the back, of the roof, and all the technical things. And clients were actually telling us, no problem, no, I will do that for you. And we gave them the quotes, and we did actually close sales. And this is how we started. So it was great in that sense because we were saving on travel, we were saving on, where there was no traffic, but still saving on traffic, dishing out quotes much quicker because the client was giving us everything. Today, it's already different. We're back to the pre-COVID times. You want to see my roof? Come and see it. I'm not going to send you anything. So unfortunately, we're back to that. But for us it was, and today I would say, 10% of our sales, we're trying to push as much as possible that. So we go as least as possible to clients and to save on the rest of the operations. Because when you save that and you give out a quote quicker, the chances are you close quicker. So this is where this is the opportunity we took out of COVID, if you like.
Absolutely. And Abigail, do you think that the sort of wider SME economy will be affected because people might be afraid to start a business at this point? Have you seen that there is less interest perhaps in entrepreneurship because of what's happened over the past few months? Or do you think that people are seeing this as an opportunity? Perhaps they've lost their job and made redundant, or maybe they've decided they want to do something different. Is there a spirit of entrepreneurship at the moment?
I think that's something that is beautiful with entrepreneurship, is that it's a spirit that cannot be broken. So we will always find it. It will always be in certain people. People that are entrepreneurial will always find that bit of opportunity and that bit of interest that nothing will discourage them from going for it. Obviously, we would be naive in thinking that they are going into COVID in the same way that we do with everything else. So now we will have COVID in mind, and we will need to think, and it would be stupid of us not to consider situations like COVID, because at the moment we are talking about post-COVID, but there is still a question mark lurking at the back of our heads, whether it is really post-COVID or whether we have in fact carried out a study. We published this 2 weeks ago with our members, and one of their biggest concerns was the possibility of having a second wave during winter. But putting that aside, I believe that COVID has brought about new opportunities. I believe that there will be significant adjustments in the market, both in the labor market and in terms of business. So certain businesses might have had a hard time, and it's okay if they had to take a break from being in business and then take their time to start maybe with a new idea, or else go back into business doing the same thing, but maybe a bit differently, while consumption and the demand for their business starts rebuilding. we are seeing that the face of consumer demand has changed and will continue to be different to what we were used to before for the coming months. So that is something that we need to consider. We shouldn't think that we are just going to pop in to the same situation that we had before COVID. No, we need to take stock of what is happening at the moment and the level of uncertainty of how things will be improving. But when it comes to new businesses popping up, statistics still show that a number of new businesses are still setting up, which is very positive. But yes, we will be seeing an adjustment, and that is something that is very natural. It is expected, but I don't believe that it is something that will have permanent damage, and it is something that will be overcoming in the months to come.
Thank you, Abigail. And I'll stay with you just for a second, because I'd love to hear a little bit more about digitization of small businesses. I know this is a major opportunity that we have at the moment. I'm sure it's something that many of your members have looked into over the past few months. I know in speaking to other business leaders that looking beyond Malta, seeing opportunities outside of Malta for themselves using the digital economy has been something that has been very inspiring over the past few months, and beyond that, of course. But also, obviously, that the threat from overseas, Maltese businesses perhaps not being as needed because of opportunities from outside has also been seen as a threat. What would you say about the digital economy and how small businesses can make the most of it?
I don't think it was as evident as it is now how necessary the digital economy is. We have been on a never-ending campaign. I remember this as long as I've been employed with the Chamber of SMEs, always campaigning with businesses of the importance of having an online presence, of actually selling online, so having an e-commerce, a proper e-commerce site. And we were always met with a bit of reluctance. So businesses obviously react to their numbers, to how their clients work, and they did not see as such a very big necessity of them moving online and such a fast speed. They thought that they could do a bit less in terms of going online, in terms of being present on the internet. But in reality, we really saw the dependence, and we really saw how important it is. We say don't put all your eggs in one basket. And this is exactly the case. If you operate just from a brick and mortar shop, there are so many clients that will be attracted to something like that, while if you have an online presence, the amount of business you can attract potentially is much, much bigger. I don't think that before COVID there was this realization, and they were always putting in a balance between what is the level of investment, because having a good website linked to your store, linked to everything you have within the business, carries quite a significant investment to maintain it. You need to put in a lot of energy in it compared to what they thought would be the return. Now we understand that it is an essential thing for a business to have, that there are clients that have become adapted now because of COVID, and with all the insecurities that we have of what will happen with the future, that is one guarantee that businesses might have, that even if the second wave happens, if you can, and this is also a misconception in businesses, that they think that their business is not adequate for online. You can practically sell anything online. You can be present with the service you offer. You can communicate with your clients. There are AI facilities nowadays that we make use of on a daily basis. And when we hear of artificial intelligence, we think that it's some form of robotic system that God knows when it will get to us. We use it on a daily basis, and businesses are using it online as well to understand better their clients, to reach them better, to communicate with them. These are all things that are a necessity, I believe, in this day and age. There are schemes and there are funds available, more than one, for different kinds of requirements that businesses have. Those that do not need maybe the cash investment can go for a certain scheme. Those that need a cash investment can go for another scheme. There are also courses that businesses can take. Maybe the business is still slow because of COVID and it's still starting to recuperate. This is the time you need to invest, to look into what is necessary for your website and online presence and how to make it really work for your business, and keep on the communication with your client even if everything is closed, and setting up even or online orders and things like that, keeping them interested in your product. This is the time to do your homework and prepare. It will not go to waste. You will still find very good use for it. We could have been in one room doing this conversation between us, but we are still using it because it is very convenient and it is a way to reach an audience. It's an effective way and there is a market for it. So yes, I really encourage it, and I think businesses should act on the feeling they have that going digital and online is very, very useful.
Thank you. That's great insight there. Rita, I'm going to shift tack just a little bit for anyone at home who's thinking, should I open a business? I'm quite entrepreneurial. I have a good idea. What would be your insight as somebody who has run a business on the benefit of being a business owner?
Well, I used to think that having your own business would mean that you can do what you want. So it would be very nice. But unfortunately, it is not like that. You have to work harder than everybody else. But on the other hand, it is very satisfying, especially our work. Unfortunately, we can't teach people how to dive digitally. So it has to be, interaction. And that interaction with individuals, how what we sell, which is scuba diving, changes the lives of people, gives you so much satisfaction and a good feeling that is what makes us keep on going year after year after year for very long hours, 7 days a week. I would say that you should, if you think that you can manage a business, then go for it. There is no harm in trying, and you will always regret something that you have not tried. It doesn't matter if you fail. You try again and you try harder. And if you have the mind, the mindset for it, and not give up, I believe that you can succeed in almost anything.
And Rita, you are an example of somebody who's turned, from what I understand, a passion into a business. Obviously, a passion that you have for diving. Is this a good route for business? Can you mix your passions with a successful small business?
I would hope that whoever has his own business has the passion of what he's doing. Because if you don't, then it is very difficult for you and you don't have such a good life. Because let's face it, you spend more time at work than anywhere else, So not even sleeping, you work more than you sleep. So, I would hope that, yes, go for it. Go for something that you really enjoy. And hopefully you will keep on enjoying it. Because obviously work is called work and it's not a hobby for a reason. Because sometimes you don't feel like doing it. So for example, I go back to diving, if it's a winter, very cold and rainy and you need to dive, you have to dive and you go and you're not feeling well, you still have to do your job. So there are occasional days when you don't feel like doing that, but most of the time you should be in a job that you enjoy and nothing more.
Thank you, Rita. Great words there. And Martin, coming to you a little bit about that as well. It'd be great to hear about perhaps the community of small businesses. I know that you are a member of the Chamber of SMEs. Why is it important, perhaps to any of our business viewers watching who aren't a member of the Chamber, why is it important to find solidarity, to have conversations with other business owners?
Okay, let me start by this. Information is power. End of story. So when you start meeting, other business owners, you start getting information, and giving information, obviously, about the way things work in a small business of our size. And I like going to these meetings mostly because there's always something I'm going to learn. And there's always somebody I'm going to meet, which can change my business, which can improve my business, or can I, on another different thing, you can say I can gauge my business the way others are going. So, for example, if I have a problem with this particular piece of equipment or something of the sort or something like that, then I suddenly realize that my competition have the same problem doing this and doing that. Then, it's not only me that is the problem. Everybody knows there is 10% of clients are difficult. Some people have 20% clients difficult and some have less. But, it's good to have that comfort where you can go to a forum like the GRTU and you can express the issues you have and what you'd like to improve in the industry. And you start realizing that everybody has the same issues and everybody would like to do the same improvements. And that gives you courage to go on. Let's put it this way. It gives you courage to go on, to say, listen, at least I'm not alone in this little building that I have where and the whole world is not against me. And this is where it's good to be in a community and to know this. Sometimes, I'm sure many other people do, I actually phone up my competition and tell them, listen, what would you do in something like this? And they would help me. Sometimes they phone me, they tell me, listen, can you lend me this? Can you lend me that? How did you do this? And we talk to each other. Obviously, there are some competition you won't talk to, but some competition you will. And it just can't tell how much you learn out of the whole process. So it's very important. So forums like this and like the Chamber for SMEs is for us made a difference, and I enjoy it.
Great, good to hear, and I'm sure very inspirational for viewers who are wondering about whether to have those kind of conversations with the competitors, with potential collaborators, or even within a chamber format. And Abigail, I'll come to you now. You mentioned schemes earlier, and I'm sure our viewers would be keen to hear perhaps a couple of specifics about potential support that there could be out there for their businesses. Is that something you might be able to tell us?
Joe, I want to take a couple of steps back to the question that you asked Rita, setting up a business. One thing that came to my mind is that even to what Martin said, because being a business can be very lonely. And you feel you're facing a lot, you're carrying a lot of responsibility and you're doing it all on your own. The community feeling is very important. You don't feel alone. You feel you have some form of support. You feel you're calling someone that will listen to you and will share the same feeling or will try to help you. So I think that is very important. And also when it comes to setting up, but also any kind of improvement that you want to make in your business, there is a lot of help. There are many schemes. Before we were talking about COVID, and COVID alone has a multitude of schemes. So I think there are about 9 to 11 active schemes at the moment that should the business be eligible, they can benefit from. But other than that, there are so many other schemes coming from EU funds, other schemes coming from Malta Enterprise. I will just give an example, just not to remain so abstract. Before we spoke about going online. Apart from that, if you want to diversify your business, if at the moment you think that the demand for your business maybe is lower than it was before, and you are thinking of branching off into a new sector or testing ground, there are funds to help you carry out studies, funds to help you carry out market research so that you do it properly. You don't just go into something just because you saw that it works for someone else. It doesn't mean that it would work for you. And there are many schemes that can help businesses, even if they have especially innovative ideas. Now, when it comes to innovation, it's a bit of a scary word. Innovation doesn't mean that rocket science, that you're actually doing something that will go into space. Innovation is changing something within your business. Maybe many other businesses have done it, but it is innovative for your business. And you are doing it first in your business for the first time in your business to improve anything. Maybe the way you communicate with clients, maybe the way that you organize the work that you do, anything like that can be funded, it can be helped, you can be supported. And basically these funds are lying there, these opportunities are lying there. And I meet a lot of business that discuss projects with me, that discuss ideas with me, and because they did not ask before about what funds they can benefit from or what is available for them, they end up missing out on the opportunity. While other businesses that keep out a very good eye on what is available, obviously they would have that competitive edge on the others because they would have spent less time, and it's less risky to be able to do the things that you want to do with more support. There are many schemes. Who would like more information can get in touch with us, even tell us what ideas they have in mind, and we will direct them in towards the best schemes that are available and how they can make it, how they can word things in a way that will meet both their requirements and the requirements of the scheme, because obviously now we have gotten used to how to go around these things.
Thank you, Abigail. That's great insight. And I'm sure there will be viewers who are wondering how to get in touch. So could you just give us your website, perhaps, so that we can complete on that one for now?
So yes, our website is www.smechamber.mt. In there, they will find all the contact details, all the services that we provide. Our membership fee is actually a very small one compared to the services that are available, but we invite them to get in touch with us and have a discussion so that we can explain in more detail.
Brilliant, thank you. I'm very sure that there are lots of business owners watching now who are definitely getting the cogs turning about ways that they could use your support. So thank you. Just to shift the conversation very slightly before we start to wrap up today, Abigail, I'd love your thoughts on how SMEs are reacting to the threat of Moneyval. Is this something that your members are concerned about?
I think that Moneyval is in some fora that we would be discussing about challenges that businesses will be facing. This might be the next shock that our economy will be facing from October onwards, because that is when Malta will be given the results of where we stand in terms of Moneyval. It is a complicated topic, so I'm not sure that businesses at the moment understand exactly what it will mean for them, but they do understand it is a very important, it will be a turning point for Malta. Should we be listed, grey listed as a country. Basically, it is very important because Malta has always benefited from very good repute, and if we are still listed as a country of good repute, we will be able to continue attracting businesses, listed companies that at the end of the day have a ripple effect on other businesses, on the rest of our economy. The simple way to understand it is that if we are grey listed, we will not be able to have a gaming sector. We will not be able to have a financial services sector. These are all people that come to work in Malta. They rent out places at very good, good quality places, and they leave a lot of money in Malta. So if we are starved, and these make up a very good percentage of our GDP, if we are starved of these sectors because they can no longer work from Malta because of our listing in Moneyval, it would be very bad news for Malta. I think that COVID starved us of the opportunity to really understand and prepare for Moneyval. I know that Malta was given also an extension to be able to implement the things that it has to implement. From our discussions with the government officials, they really assure us, because we are dead worried about this, they assure us that everything is being done to make sure that Malta will not be grey listed. If you had to check, if you had to Google the other countries that are grey listed, you cannot imagine that Malta would be listed with these countries. That alone will help you understand how bad it would be. So yes, I think it will be a make or break, unfortunately, for us, and I hope that after COVID and even the political turmoil that we had before that, our country and our businesses and our citizens really deserve a break. And I hope that we can ride this wave, this very challenging wave, successfully.
Thank you, Abigail, with very sort of sobering words there. But of course, we hope that we are in time to be able to turn around the threat of the grey listing. As we sort of close and wrap up this conversation, I'd just like to ask each of you for your thoughts, your final thoughts for our viewers today, whether that's on running a small business, perhaps tips that you might have, or anything else that you'd like to share with our viewers. Rita, I'll start with you.
Well, I think that now it's even more important for businesses to work together and to help each other wherever they can. So, and as we were saying, where you discuss topics with other people who are in the same business, it would also make sense to use your resources and try to combine your resources. So, for example, in the diving industry, if we don't have enough clients to fill one boat, why not approach another diving center and rent the boat together where we're reducing our costs? I think that we need to focus on reducing our costs, but not the service that we are giving, and helping each other out as if we were at war. That is how I feel that we need to be. Really work together as a country to improve the country in every aspect.
Excellent. Thank you, Rita. So a very collaborative mindset there. Thank you. Martin, over to you.
From my end, anybody who has a business, I think the important thing is to always look at 2 or 3 steps ahead. Use services from people like the SMEs, like Abigail, and say, where is the business going? Where is Malta going? And more important, I mean, I don't know if in other industries they exist, but in my industry, we do meet up very often, and it really is a big help for everybody to focus the industry with the government and raise our hand and say, listen, we're not a major industry here, but we do have substantial numbers of where we want to go. And one important thing is always look on the digital marketing, because that's where most people are today. I think it's something that many people lack, and even when sometimes people want to come and work with us, a guy came, a foreign guy, said, I want to work for you, blah 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 blah. I said, what made you come here to work for me? He said, because I checked you out on the internet and you had good reviews. I was surprised he wanted to work for me because of that. So, being online, I think, is extremely key for small businesses.
Thank you. Thank you, Martin. And finally, Abigail, over to you.
I would, if I had to choose, I would choose 2 aspects. First, something that I mentioned before, but I think I really need to emphasize on this. Really use this time well. If you are, especially, don't feel lethargic. Start thinking, get together with your team. I know that COVID made it very challenging, but really find a way to connect and think how you can improve. Sometimes we get stuck in the mindset of what others can do for us, what the government can do for us, and we don't look a bit at ourselves and see how we can improve and how we can use this time to be better in the coming days. And secondly, I think that what we have learned from COVID, and also being the subject on SMEs, an SME, a micro company, a small company can sound insignificant, but together we can make a very big difference. Together, our voice is heard louder than anything else. It's important that we pull the same rope, because we have a lot of strength if we are together, and that is how we make things change for the better, not just for business, the whole economy, and for the country.
Thank you. A very strong ending there, Abigail, and great information, great insight. Thank you so much. I'm sure that our viewers today have learned a lot from this conversation, and hopefully we'll see the benefit in perhaps joining the chamber or at least collaborating with other small businesses. So thank you very much, Abigail, Rita, and Martin, for being with us today on the Boardroom. Thank you. And thank you also to those of you at home or at the office watching us today. We always appreciate you being with us, and we look forward to seeing you next time on the Boardroom.